And if you don't mind, I'll actually want to begin with something a little different before we kind of leap in. And
Okay.
it's something I shared with you in the beginning. So it's a wonderful book that's just actually come out, and it's called The Journey of Love. And many people would be familiar with Saint Gianna Molla. And so these are actually love letters, and I'm going to put the book up because it's now in English. It was in Italian, and I just received this from Dr. Gianna Emanuela, the daughter of Pietro and Gianna, and who's been a good friend of mine, has gotten me a closer friend over the years, and a great blessing. So she sent me this new copy, and what I would like to do is kind of to help us in our conversation is these are love letters. And, today in our email world where love letters are written, I mean, there's no doubt about that. People are writing very beautiful things, but these were handwritten letters between Pietro and Gianna, even when Pietro was in the United States. And the reason why I kind of wanted to start with this, and I'm going to read just one letter, just the latter part of the letter, as Gianna and Pietro are preparing for marriage. And it's just a beautiful way of talking about marriage, seeing what marriage is.
Okay.
And it goes to the heart of what your question that you brought up. And she says, so this is just the back part of that letter. She says, "My Pietro, our wedding is just a few days away now, and I feel very moved to be so near receiving the sacrament of love. We will be working with God in his creation. In this way, we can give him children who will love him and serve him. Pietro, will I be able to be the wife and mother of your children you have always wanted? I hope so, because you deserve it, and I love you so much." Now, this is
beautiful.
September 23rd, 1955. Now, these were letters going back and forth, and I should have told you what I was going to do before we started, but
No,
it's a beautiful way of looking how we approach marriage, how we approach the conversation of marriage. And so to do that, she's speaking about, I can't wait to share with you this sacrament of love.
I love how personal it is too. Like, it's not just, I think it's really easy on the podcast sometimes to talk about marriage in a hypothetical sense. And this is just like a really nice personal, like what they actually wrote to each other before.
They're beautiful. They're to hear Dr. Gianna Emanuela read these and speak about her mom and her dad, her mom who she did not know.
Yeah.
She knew her father, and
she was the daughter who was born when St. Gianna died.
Correct.
Right? Yeah,
that's correct. And so when you think of Pietro raised these beautiful children, and so Dr. Gianna Emanuela lived with her father, cared for her father to the very end, whose cause has also now been opened. And these are, just to show what marital love is. And I couldn't help when I first heard her speak about the letters of St. John Paul II. Who really talked about and would take, the young people and young couples, and he would spend so much time with them, and what we call today the theology of the body, which I'm going to get to the answer to your question. So I'm coming at your question here. But I thought is when you read these letters and you hear the personal relationship between these two people who loved each other deeply and longed to share life with each other, and especially when you get to the letters when she is now ill, and she's facing a situation, and her conversation with her husband in letters that still continued after marriage. That's why they're love letters. And today, and imagine, waiting 3 weeks, waiting 2 months to get a letter. And, but that is, and they long for those letters. And it comes to the heart of the question you posed, because for that, I like to go to the actual marriage vows, because that's the way the church approaches marriage. So there are words that are spoken, a language, but there's another side of the language, and that is the body language. And that goes back to John Paul. So thinking about how the church approaches. So when you think about the vows that a couple exchanges, right? So as a priest witnessing the marriage, right? The sacramental union of man and woman.
Which they bestow on the other person. They're bestowing on each other.
They exchange this beautiful sacrament, and I witness and other witnesses that we call the best man and maid of honor, but the two witnesses with me are witnessing this exchange. And so what do we hear? And so there are questions that priests will ask before they exchange their vows. Have you come here freely and without reservation to give yourselves to each other in marriage? We have. Will you love and honor each other all of your life? We will. Will you accept children lovingly from God and bring them up according to the law of Christ and his church? We will. So think about that, Colleen. So in those words spoken questions asked. Then in the vows, I, John, I, Cindy. So here they recognize that marriage is exclusive. I give myself only and totally to you, period. Second, it's indissoluble. Until death do us part. That I pledge myself, you to me, I to you, until the end of our day in this world. And then third is the openness, that part of this love is the fertility, is a total gift of self. And this is where it's important for us. This is how the church approaches it. Goes back to your question, okay? And,
Yes.
and that's what's important here, because as we understand scripturally, the two shall become one, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, we hear in Genesis. Well, this becomes expressed now, not in just words, it becomes expressed bodily. And so there's a body language that happens here. And the body language is the unity of and the openness to life, what we call the unitive and procreative ends of marriage, that the body speaks now, that the words that they have spoken are lived again and again in this expression of total self-giving. And so that to think about how those three questions and how those vows are expressed in the marital act, called marital
It's
love.
like a renewing of vows, basically.
Each and every time. It's in a sense of constant recommitment, renewal, total giving, total self, total emptying of self. And so nothing held back. That in each of these moments of expression is a person recommitting that, and that body language, that body love, if I may put it that way, the conjugal love helps strengthen that unity and strengthens that bond and brings great joy, to the couple. And so, but in a world, this is a strange language.